Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
You know his name, Tua. Now see the inspiring story of Alabama's quarterback sensation as he fights to overcome a potential career-ending injury while chasing his destiny to the NFL. Watch Tua Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox. All right, time now for stories to start your morning. We're starting with Dynasty Dreams. The Chiefs finalized 2 new 6-year deals yesterday. One with Michael Vick's former head coach, he's going to join us in a second, Andy Reid, and the other with Chiefs GM Brett Veach. Everyone getting paid in KC this offseason. Nick, what would keep the Chiefs from becoming the next dynasty in the NFL?
Well, obviously nothing, and they already are. So I'd rather focus on this part of it. Great news, finally, for one of the other 31 teams in the league. Eric Bieniemy is going to be available this upcoming offseason to be a head coach somewhere. There were some feelings that if Andy made it clear he was going to leave in maybe 2 or 3 years, would Bieniemy stick around to be the coach in waiting? But with Andy signing up for a 6-year deal, someone's going to get an excellent offensive mind as their head coach this coming offseason, Brandon.
That's right. That's right. I mean, when I think about this, I immediately go to Mahomes' deal. Mahomes' deal set this team up to potentially be a dynasty. Now, it's hard to do. We've only seen a couple of these teams in all sports over the past 20, 30 years. But the only thing that's going to stop these guys is 2 things. It's injury, and it's the maturation of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So I really like how they set up this team for success for the next 10 years. Hats off to the Chiefs.
Brandon, there's one dynasty currently in the NFL. It's been running for 2 decades called New England Patriots. Nick and I are both fans of the Patriots. As a player, how far do you like to look out and look at success? Because we've seen a lot of these guys talk about multiple Super Bowls. We're a dynasty. How do you compare that to try to 1 day at a time, 1 week at a time?
I think that's hard for a player, and that's the coach's job, is to bring it back to today. Like, we got to focus on getting through this practice. We got to focus on getting through this game plan this day. So I think as a player, you're always thinking about longevity. You're thinking about the big contracts, and you're also thinking about, those multiple championships. And LeBron James set the precedent when he went to Miami. So I think that's the wrong mentality, but that's the coach's job to bring it back.
All right, on to quarterback quandary. Hall of Famer Jerry Rice has a hot take for you. Here it is. Quote, I think Jimmy G is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Brandon, you think Jerry Rice is just a tad biased?
Listen, Jenna, if Jerry Rice was capable of being in the 49ers front office, they would have done that already. So he's the GOAT. I love him on the field, but in the front office,
there's a take.
That was a terrible take by Jerry. Terrible take.
You know you're allowed to just take free shots at Jimmy G at any point. Everybody can just say anything. The guy's 21-5 as a starter, and no one seems to care except me. It's 21, but he wins games.
You want him as your quarterback?
Does he put up the best number?
You want him as your quarterback? Wilds, you want him?
For the Patriots?
You want him as your quarterback?
Pre-Cam Newton, I did. Yes, I wanted to do a straight trade.
So no. So the answer is no.
Yes.
But okay, so in a different world. Yeah, I mean, and Brandon nailed it. Come on, Jerry.
All right, the Chargers are going to be without Derwin James now for 6 to 8 months after injuring his right knee in Sunday's practice. Derwin James missing the first 11 games last season with a foot fracture as well. Kevin, what was your reaction to this?
My reaction was just like sadness, to be honest with you, to see him go out the whole season. I was also shocked, Brandon. I know you've had some history with this types of injuries. I was surprised it was the whole season.
Yeah, it immediately made me think about Alvin Kamara, and I know we're going to get to Alvin, but as a player, this is what you think about. You think about, could the next game be my last game? This sucks for this kid because this is a kid that came in hot, a lot of upside, and for him to be riddled with these injuries early, this is tough. So hopefully he bounced back, but this is a big blow for the Chargers and this guy's mindset.
It's a massive blow for the Chargers. He came into the league and instantly was the best player in the league at his position. The reason, Wild, you were confused about the length of time is there's two ways to handle this injury. You can trim the meniscus and you'll only be out a few weeks, or you can repair it and you're out a few months. Dwayne Wade famously said he thought going for the shorter one, the trim, led to long-term knee problems. So for his long-term health, I get why he's doing this, but he had a meniscus injury in the other knee in college, a foot injury last year. Maybe he's just snake bit. When he's on the field, he's one of the best in the world at his spot. And the Chargers, Jenna, year in, year out, have the worst injury luck of any team in the league.
Wow. My mom had a meniscus injury, but we could talk about it later. Next up, contract conundrum. We welcome back in Michael Vick for this. Alvin Kamara has gone MIA at Saints training camp since Friday. The running back reportedly making a late push for a contract extension. So, Mike, I ask you, how much different is the Saints offense if Alvin Kamara isn't there?
Well, it's certainly going to look different, and I'll say this. Alvin Kamara's true value is, I won't say when he lines up behind Drew. He's not a very important factor in the offense, and I take nothing away from that. I don't want to discredit that. But his true value is when he lines up in the slot, when he lines up out wide, when it's a safety or a strong safety that has to come from out the middle of the field and cover him. It opens the offense up for everyone else. And that's how Michael Thomas really gets off. Alvin Kamara was one of the guys who carried this team when Drew went down last year and Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback, took some of the pressure off Teddy. He carried the load. He might not have ran for 1,000 yards last season or in his first 3 seasons as he split time with Mark Ingram. But this guy's been a focal point of this offense for the last 3 years. So take him away, then the defensive side of the ball can game plan for Michael Thomas and Drew. And, it certainly won't help. But I can say this. When LaShawn McCoy was healthy and he was on the field, we was able to line him up in different spots on the field, the offense ran different. When he wasn't out there, the offense ran different. And I was the one behind the center, and I felt it full throttle.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, there really isn't no offense to me when you take Alvin out of it. I mean, you can look at this graphic right here, and you can see how impactful 13 and 41 is. I mean, you think about the quarterback position and being comfortable going through your procedures and your progressions. A lot of times you drop back, it's either 1 or number 2. So when you look at Kamara and Thomas, this is how amazing they are. But at the same time, it puts your offense, your quarterback, your play caller in a predicament. So when you're a quarterback, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you drop back and you have 13, it's like, look, it's easy for me to read the wheel backer. If the wheel backer gets underneath Mike, I'm going to Alvin. If he drops and takes Alvin, then I have Mike Thomas. It's that easy. And Drew Brees, as we know, is one of those guys that's super detailed, and he's been in this offense for I don't know how many years. So I literally seen, Mike, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I had a cup of tea with the Saints, all right? That was my last cup of tea. Yeah. I was there for a month. In my first week on campus, I saw this guy stand in the mirror in the middle of the weight room for 30 minutes and rock back and forth. I went to the strength and conditioning coach, and I said, Coach, what is he doing? And he said, the guy's literally going through every single play in the playbook in every situation. And he said, when that bubble clears out, he's going to go in there and do it again. And I thought, like, oh, my goodness, this is why Drew Brees is who he is. But that now disrupts that because you don't have Alvin Kamara. To your point, it's not just a running back. He's a receiver. Everything flows through him and 40 and 13. So, Drew, if I'm you, I'm going to say, Coach, you need a couple mil. Here's my checkbook. I need this guy right now. Seriously, right? Because, I mean, if you're Drew Brees, how many more years do you have? This is it.
Yeah, I mean, and for Drew, you want every single opportunity to win, and you want your guys on the field. You need guys like Alvin Kamara because, like I said, when we tried to replace Shady McCoy and Warwick Dunn with certain guys, it just didn't work, man. It was easier for the defense to come after us. It was easier for them to switch things up and do things differently. And, the disguises was better. And, it was just hard to get a read. So, you have to have your best players on the field at all times if you want to win. If not, you're doing yourself a disservice.
All right, so
100%.
listen.